My friend, a door just slammed shut in the face of the Philadelphia Eagles, and it slammed hard. For weeks and weeks, the fan base nursed a dream. One specific name floated through the conversations of everyone who follows the team, a veteran who seemed to be the perfect solution for the one weak spot on a defense that, in every other respect, is downright outstanding. The analysts connected the dots, the fans ran the numbers, and everything pointed to it being just a matter of time before this player landed in Philadelphia. But football has these cruelties. Right on the first day of training camp, when the players had barely stepped onto the field, a piece of news dropped like a bomb and wiped out that dream in one stroke. The team that owned this player made a surprising decision, a decision that locks that door and throws away the key. And now the Eagles have to go back to square one to solve a problem plenty of people already considered practically solved. The truth is that this story touches directly on the one Achilles heel of a team that's dreaming big in 2026. And it's about that blind spot that we need to talk with real honesty. If you're a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel, because understanding what just happened is understanding the size of the challenge Howie Roseman still has ahead of him before the season starts. There's no use pretending the problem doesn't exist. Let me show you exactly who this player was and why losing him shakes up Philadelphia's plans so much. Let's go back to the beginning of this story, to the origin of the problem. This offseason, the Eagles lost a hugely important piece of their defense, a safety who was an outright starter and who decided to seek a new path in free agency, leaving a considerable hole in the last line of defense. And that's when the eyes of the franchise and the media turned to an experienced veteran who was playing for a team in the American Conference, a guy who was entering the final year of his contract, and who, for that very reason, seemed ripe to be traded. He was described as the most realistic fit to plug that hole, the dream name to bring experience and security to the unit. The specialized writers spent the entire offseason connecting the dots and drawing up this scenario. This player's name is Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit was, by far, the Eagles fan base's favorite target for the safety position. And the reason for all this searching has a very clear origin: the departure of Reed Blankenship. Blankenship is one of those beautiful football stories. He entered the league in 2022 without even being drafted, coming out of Little Middle Tennessee, and even so he knew how to seize his opportunity tooth and nail in Philadelphia. After starting just 4 games as a rookie, he became an outright starter for the next 3 seasons, playing 56 games over 4 years in an Eagles uniform. But this offseason he decided to leave, signing with the Houston Texans in free agency and leaving behind a vacuum that needed to be filled. And Delpit emerged as the obvious answer. We're talking about a 27-year-old safety in the league since 2020, when he was picked in the 2nd round, with the 44th overall selection, coming out of powerhouse LSU. And his path is one worthy of respect. After missing his debut season because of a serious Achilles tendon injury, Delpit rebuilt himself and became a reliable starter, the kind who shows up every Sunday. Last season, he started nearly every game, playing 16 of 17 contests and delivered 89 tackles, 4 of them for a loss, plus 1 interception and 4 passes defensed. Over the course of his career, he has piled up something like 451 tackles and 7 interceptions in 78 games, showing a rare consistency, at least 80 tackles in each of the last 4 seasons. That was exactly the kind of steadiness Philadelphia wanted to plant next to the young guys in the unit. And there was one more detail that made the fit seem perfect. With a reliable veteran like Delpit around, Coach Vic Fangio would gain total freedom to keep Cooper DeJean in that slot role where he shines, instead of being forced to improvise by plugging the hole in the last line. In other words, it wasn't just a signing for one spot. It was a piece that would fix the whole house, unlocking the best of other players around him. That's why the fan base got so attached to this idea. But here comes the twist nobody expected. Instead of getting rid of Delpit, as a lot of people were betting, the Cleveland Browns made exactly the opposite move. They offered a contract extension, and the player accepted. The deal was robust, 3 years and $48 million, which works out to an average of $16 million per year, with $35 million guaranteed, locking Delpit in Cleveland through the 2029 season. And look at the symbolic detail of this story. The news broke about 20 minutes after the start of the Browns' first camp practice, with Delpit himself out of the individual drills precisely while the final details of the contract were being ironed out. It's worth remembering that Delpit had been in a kind of arm wrestle with the team, having stayed out of spring practices and mandatory minicamp, all because of the contract situation. This new deal represents quite a jump in his pocket, since on the previous contract he was earning somewhere around $12 million per year, and now he leaps to $16 million annually, entering the select group of the highest-paid safeties in the entire league. It was a clear message. Cleveland was not the least bit willing to give up one of the leaders of its defense, especially at a moment when the team was completely reshaping the unit. To give you an idea, the Browns closed this extension just one day after also re-signing cornerback Denzel Ward, making it perfectly clear that their absolute priority was keeping the secondary intact. In other words, the Eagles' dream target left the market in the most definitive way possible and left it right on the first day of work. You can cross Grant Delpit's name off the wish list because this saga has come to an end. So what's left for the Eagles now? That's the million-dollar question. The good news, and this needs to be said clearly, is that Philadelphia is not exactly desperate for the safety position at this moment. The team has internal pieces to work with and an important window ahead. The month of August, with the preseason games and the intense camp practices, is going to be the big opportunity for the coaching staff to find out whether they really will need to chase a heavyweight reinforcement or whether the in-house solutions can get the job done. It's a period of testing, of observation, of decisions. The front office is going to take a close look at the young guys and the veterans on the roster and gauge whether that hole left by Blankenship is really an urgent problem or just a passing scare. But one thing is certain, Plan A, that name everyone already had as the favorite, simply evaporated. And now Howie Roseman is going to have to be creative, whether by trusting the homegrown talent or by digging up a new target on the market when other teams' cut sheets start circulating. Now, to be fair and transparent, we need to present the other side of this story, because not everything is cause for despair. First, as already said, the Eagles weren't desperate for the position. So losing Delpit is not the end of the world, it's just the end of one possibility. Second, it's important to remember that no report ever actually confirmed a real negotiation between the two teams. Delpit was a speculated target, an idea floated by analysts, and not a deal in the works. So in practice, Philadelphia didn't lose anything that was already theirs. Third, bringing in Delpit would have carried a high cost, both in trade capital and in salary space, and now that money stays free for the Eagles to invest in another need or save for a future extension within their own roster. And fourth, the cut season is still to come. When teams start trimming their rosters heading into the season, plenty of experienced quality safeties are going to show up on the market, sometimes for free, without costing a single draft pick. In other words, Delpit's door closed, but the safety market is far from tapped out. So now I turn it over to you, the one who truly understands this team. After losing the favorite target for safety, do you think the Eagles should chase another veteran on the market? Or is it better to trust the pieces already in the building and let the camp competition decide? Do you believe Reed Blankenship's departure left a genuinely dangerous hole in Philadelphia's defense? Or is all this fear being exaggerated by the fan base? And tell me one thing. If you were Howie Roseman, would you spend trade capital on a safety now, or would you wait for the cut season to fish out a bargain? Drop your opinion down here in the comments because I read every single one of them. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to follow closely every Eagles move heading into the season. And I'll be back later to update you with the latest news out of Philadelphia.